Hello and welcome to On the Couch with Steve, a podcast where we help you navigate the often complex world of buying, selling and renting here in Ipswich and the surrounding areas. I'm Steve Athanates. I'm the owner of NGU Real Estate here in Ipswich. I'm joined today by Cassandra Jeffs. Cassandra's our business development manager, so she's doing all things rental, new business. Cassandra, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, we're having a chat today. This is obviously designed to help people out there because there has been some recent changes to the rental laws in Queensland in relation to rental increases, how much you can increase, when you can increase, those sorts of things. So I thought no better time than right now to get you in and have a chat so everyone at home can work out what's happening in that rental space.
Yeah, so basically first stage has come out of the tenancy laws that came out on the 6th of June.
Yes.
So with those, basically the first thing that came about is obviously rent bidding. So in Queensland, it's actually illegal now for us to accept any rents above the actual advertised price.
Okay, well, great to know. Obviously, the situation with the bidding, it was unfair, so it's good that the government's outlawed that. Obviously, some people were paying huge deposits. There's been a change in how much deposit you can pay right now.
Yeah, so tenants can't pay any more than 1 month in advance as well. So that's at the beginning of the tenancy. Throughout the tenancy, they can still pay more. But when we do a lease renewal, it comes back to that as well, that they're not allowed to be any more than 1 month in advance with their rent.
Right, because that is a fairly significant change. And like I've got personal friends who've rented in Brisbane and surrounding areas, and they have paid anywhere up to 12 months in advance.
Correct.
to get the rental, because obviously it's attractive to I guess the landlord, that they get all that money in one hit and they can put it into one financial year, et cetera, et cetera. So you can't do that. 1 month.
1 month. Throughout the tenancy, they can pay more, but again, at the next lease renewal, they can still only be that 1 month in advance.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so there's two changes in respect to what's happening with the legislation with respect to rentals. I believe there's more.
Yeah, so there's a little bit more. So basically with the increases, so we cannot increase a rent now for 12 months. So it's due for the not for the tenancy anymore, it's for the actual rental. So if a tenant vacates, we've increased the rent. In 6 months ago, tenant vacates, we legally can't increase the rent. So basically it's for another 6 months that same rent has to be, and then we can increase it after that.
So let's get this straight. Let's say we had a break lease somewhere during the course of that. The tenants change, and it could have changed once, maybe sometimes twice within a 12-month period. But the rental amount relates to that specific property.
The property itself.
And it can't be increased inside of that 12-month period.
Correct. Yeah. So we have to basically keep that rent at the same price for the rental period, not for that tenancy itself.
Wow. Like, I think that's good for tenants. Probably a little unfair to landlords.
Getting a little bit tricky now with the landlords, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, and obviously we know we've got a housing crisis and there's a shortage of properties available.
So there really isn't a shortage. What we're finding at the moment is there's actually still quite a fair few properties, but the affordability for tenants is obviously a little bit harder now. So because prices have increased so dramatically, we obviously work on a percentage. So it makes it a little bit trickier for tenants to be able to afford rental properties.
Yeah, I know. I understand exactly what you're saying, but I guess if we wanted more rentals, and investors are the people who go out and buy them so that they can rent them out to people, if they can't put the rent up any more than once in a 12-month period, like it's a little hard.
It is hard, especially with obviously increases in rates. So completely understand, but it's the law now. So this is what we have to work with.
And obviously our girls here at NGU Real Estate, they've got to explain that to people who are sometimes long-time investors saying, well, why? What do you mean? I live in another state that law doesn't exist in our state. Why would the Queensland government basically limit how much I can put up my property? Tell me when I can do it and how often I can do it.
They're not limiting the increase just yet, but I'm assuming that's probably going to come into play as well. So we may have that, but there is new laws still coming out next stage. We're not exactly sure on the date, but there is another lot of new laws coming into play.
And I understand, obviously, when we had a discussion about these changes in the laws, they basically came in overnight.
Yeah, we did.
There was no grace period. There was no
warning.
grace
period at all. So it was effective immediately from the 6th of June.
And the scoop we're getting probably from the ROIQ is when the next lots come in, it will be immediate.
Effective immediately as well, yes.
Okay, so for investors out there, it's definitely something you need to be aware of. There are proposed changes coming in Queensland in relation to rental laws. You definitely need to be on top of that. So if you need expert advice, obviously Cassandra is our business development manager here at NGU Real Estate. She's the lady that you can talk to understand exactly where you stand. Now, I guess the spin side of that is there's some great benefits to the tenants.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's obviously more security for tenants. It's been tricky for them as well. So as much as a landlord, it's hard. It's really hard for tenants.
I agree. And look, we've talked a lot on the podcast about how difficult it can be. There's all sorts of cost of living pressures. Obviously, the cost of education, health, groceries, fuel. None of those things are going down, and they'll probably never ever go down to where they were previously. So I guess this is one form of protection, I guess, that the government is trying to extend to a tenant, because they understand the cost of living is impacting a lot on people, that, this is something for them.
It is, yes.
Now, remembering at home, 1/3 of the population rents, 1/3 of the population owns a home, okay, or is paying off a mortgage, and 1/3 of the population owns their home outright. So for 2/3 of the market out there, these laws don't affect 2/3 of those people. But for the 1/3 out there, this is a significant change. It's obviously massively important to them. Are we aware of anything else of what could potentially happen?
We can't really say at this stage. It's all we've got some ideas on what's happening, but I don't know when and if it's definitely going to proceed. So there's no point in really talking about it. And I think that's where the problem lied with this one. It only basically came into effect, so we weren't allowed to know what was happening exactly. And then it was just immediate, effective immediately. So when it did come into play.
Yeah, exactly. Cassandra, this is why I guess we wanted to jump on and do this podcast. Obviously, we're coming towards the end of June. These changes came in basically 2 weeks ago. So we wanted to get out there and tell people about what's happening. So obviously, for landlords out there, if you need specific advice, reach out to Cassandra here at NGU Real Estate. She'd love to be able to talk to you, bring you up to speed on what the laws are, how they impact on you and your property. For any prospective tenants, obviously we manage about 700 properties here roughly. At this point in time, just roughly, how many properties would we have available?
We actually have a very low vacancy rate. So we've got about 7 properties available at the moment, a really low vacancy.
Okay, 7 out of 700, that's 1%. So obviously vacancy rates, and this is not unusual, vacancy rates have actually been at different stages running below 1%. 1% is really good. It's great for our landlords. Obviously, their properties are full. For tenants, not massive amounts of choice out there in terms of what you can get into. But again, we've talked in past episodes about how you can improve your chances, your best application, get your references, do all those sorts of things. So if you want more information, obviously we'll keep you up to date whenever we possibly can, and with any changes. But you may have noticed we're in our new location for the filming of this podcast. We're here in our boardroom at NGU Real Estate. We used to do it down at the River 949 studios. Thank you to River 949 for all your help. But here we are. So this is nice and easy. We can jump in any time and basically bring you up to speed with what's happening with anything real estate related. So Cassandra, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I know you love coming on the podcast.
It's amazing.
All right, just really chipper. She'll flog into me when we get off air, I'd say. But thank you so much for coming along and joining us. For everyone at home, if you've got any questions, if you've got any feedback on what we've talked about, we'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe to the link below. Now, before I sign off, we have got a really special 50th episode of On the Couch with Steve. Yes, believe it or not, we've made it to episode 50. You're out there watching and obviously loving the content. So big thank you to everyone at home. But for number 50, something really special for you. I won't tell you any more, but we'll see you real soon. And thanks for joining us with On the Couch with Steve.